here as a testimony to the obedience of others to respond to the call of my needs, there stands millions more like myself that are in need of your services, influence, dedication to help them transform their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm a high school teacher, and on the side I teach SAT, and I have traveled in different countries, and I got real interested in something that a guy up in Harvard calls the 7 global skills. Because when John asked me to speak on sort of literacy, and your question was technology, right?
Well, I'm going to ask you that later. So.
Oh, that comes later. Okay, so I just make a little presentation. Okay, great. So I'm basically here because I have a very good SAT student. I mean, and he remembered me. Now that's one of the nicest things that you can do to a teacher, is to call them up 3-4 years afterwards. So if there's one thing you take away from this, other than the literacy bit, get in touch with your teachers. Not immediately after the course, 5 years later. It means so much. We might not remember you, okay, but we will put a big smile and say, oh yes, I remember you. You did such a good paper for me, right? So just let the moment pass. It really makes us feel good that, you know, that we made an impression. We weren't just going passing John along so we could get into UF. No, there was other things happening. As a high school teacher, I'm sure you've heard of this thing called the FCAT, and that in some ways demonstrates a form of literacy. And so when John asked me to join this, I was thinking, what perspective could I bring here that you might not be thinking about? I mean, you guys are talking about basic literacy. 800 million people can't read. I'm looking at something that Tony Wagner from Harvard talks about, which is the 7 global skills. You might be able to read, but there's nothing different between 2 people, one who can't read and another one who doesn't read. And that's the kind of student that I deal with. And I have to say, Guy, you might think you're getting a high school diploma, but you're not ready according to the 7 skills that this guy in Harvard came up with. When you walk away from here, you're going to remember these, because there's 4 C's, there's 2 A's, and there's an I. And you'll be able to remember this because you'll go to my website, I'll help you through it, it's all right. But you'll sound really, really different than other people talking about literacy, because there's one way to talk about literacy as being able to read, but there's another that you can actually use your literacy. One of the skills that is accessing and analyzing information. Now the fact that we take one of those 800 million people and put them through a literacy course, and now the person can go to a newspaper and pull information out, we pat ourselves on the back. I mean, I would, before I heard of this Tony Wagner guy, and before I became a high school teacher, I would have applauded a program that took a person from that 800 million non-literate to now having basic functional literacy skills. And I think that's the problem. What do we mean by functional? Can we, who's heard of this thing called SNOPES? S-N-O-P-E-S. Please, someone raise their hand. SNOPES. Seriously? Oh, excellent. It was worth the 14-hour drive, because I got to go back still, right? I'm from Fort Lauderdale. Please, before you forward that urgent advice that you received in the mail, that please, join us in our boycott of gasoline. We're going to lower the price of gasoline. This is not off topic. This is a form of functional literacy. You can read the fact that this email is giving you the steps to help join a boycott to lower the price of gasoline. And dutifully, you're going to do exactly what it says, because it says what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to forward this to all the people. We're going to all work together. Come on, someone interrupt me here. What's the problem with this? Snopes. Okay, what's Snopes? That's great. Okay, this is good. Apparently the internet is regional, because everyone in Miami knows about Snopes, but you guys haven't heard about it. It's wonderful. There was, just think of it as, SNOPES. I have no idea why they came up with it, but it's like nope, and there's an S and an S at the beginning and the end. You can put virtually any urban legend into their search engine, and Snopes will have looked at probably 90% of them. If you receive some quotation from Barack Obama's autobiography, and they've analyzed it to point out that he says, what's the most recent one? Anyone received this one about how he's going to stand up for Muslims? Apparently, it was taken out of context. It is a true quote, but it's taken out of context. People familiar with discrimination against Japanese Americans during World War II. Okay, nodding heads, that's good. Okay, remember, I teach high school people. They don't even know when World War II took place. Okay, great. Snopes goes in and finds, yeah, Obama said that, but it was in reference to we don't want another discriminatory act against a group of people to take place the way it took place against Japanese Americans. That's what he would stand up for. He would stand up against discrimination against a group of people like Muslims. But the way that the email was read, you'd think, oh my God, Obama is deciding he really is a Muslim. He's showing it. He even said it in his biography. I've had eloquent doctors. I mean, the guy went to Harvard and he forwarded this email to me. And so I just went into Snopes, S-N-O-P, nope, S and S, right? Snopes.com. I'm trying not to be literate here, okay? Because there is a part of us that can learn things without writing things down. Okay. Snopes will help you through this boycott of gasoline. Same sort of thing. I'm asking you to consider that once we have gotten those 800 million people out of illiteracy, so now that they are classified as literate, let's think about how we can take them to the next level. And I'm not necessarily thinking that we need to give them a lot of books to read. The little noises you've been hearing in the back there, that's how I communicate to my high school students. I do not lecture in my, I feel very strange talking without being interrupted here. Because the way I teach is I pass out audio CDs. I figure everybody likes to, listen to something. And I'll put some music on some of the CDs. And then in between the cuts, I'll put a little lecture from, TED or, YouTube.